skaters, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I am Coach Julia, and today we are going to be doing another Q&A. I did one just a couple of weeks ago, but there were so many fantastic questions listed below in your comments. I thought I need to do another one and address so many of your questions. So that is what we are going to do today. This first one is from a longtime subscriber, YJ Choi. They say, thanks for the Q&A video, Julia. I was actually thinking of asking a few things when this week's video came out. Hope you can address these issues in a future video or simply reply to your comment. Well, here we go. First, Lutz. I was struggling with the jump lately. I'm thinking of cheating the jump by gently putting down my right toe and gliding into a right back outside, which in essence makes it a loop jump. You mentioned this in your flip jump video, and maybe the same works for the Lutz. Of course, I'll have to maintain my left back outside edge. Fortunately, my left back outside edge isn't much of a problem for me, says my coach. Okay, well, this is an interesting question. So when you're learning the flip or the Lutz, it can be a way to help you get over the fear to sort of turn it into a loop. So once you tap, drop onto that foot and jump. And that helps you feel the mechanism of the takeoff, the tap, and the jump. But it really is not great technique, and you don't want to create a habit of tapping and then flattening and jumping, because then you really are just doing a loop jump. It's not truly a flip. It's not truly a Lutz. So yes, that is a way to learn those jumps and work on it, but I want to caution you to try not to do this if possible. Don't drop your foot if possible. If you need a little momentary pause between the tap and the jump, try to stay up on your toe pick. That way, once you tap, you can still jump off that toe pick. You can jump and rotate off that toe pick rather than jumping, flattening, and then doing a loop. So that is my feedback on this. Yes, it's a way of making it so you can smoothly do the jump if you're just learning. But since it can create really bad habits, it's not the best way. Try to stay up on that toe pick. This question is from Beth Mulville 3621. It says, I'm 64 years old. I was an excellent figure skater, skated, trained, was sponsored by my home rink, competed. I'm afraid to do forward crossovers. I remember how, but I'm afraid to lift my foot. I can do backward crossovers in both directions, working on my spiral, my 2-foot spin, 1-foot spin. Why am I afraid to lift my foot in forward crossovers? Please help me, Coach Julia. I was taking an hour private lesson a week, but unfortunately, health reasons, needed a break due to an old injury. And then underneath, we have all of these wonderful different bits of advice and encouragement and feedback from other skaters here on my channel. And I just have to say, I love that you guys are such a community and you're going on there and giving each other your feedback and your support and your encouragement and your advice. As long as we keep it all loving and helpful, then I am so happy to see that kind of conversation happening on one of my videos. So good job, you guys. So as for the original comment about the fear of the forward crossovers, generally this is because skaters are afraid of their toe picks. There's a lot of other factors that can come into play, and without seeing your actual skating in person, it's hard for me to give really specific advice, but usually it's a fear of toe picks. Also, there can be some strength issues. Our legs are stronger actually traveling backwards than they are forwards. That's just the way our muscles are. We can build more strength and more speed going backwards. So there was one of the comments someone said mentioning doing some off-ice strength training. I think that's a great idea. Another thing that you can do, which was mentioned by one of the other skaters, is do a lot of work by the wall. And also, if you can get with your coach, start holding their hands and then try to go less and less with their hands and have them just next to you, so you're kind of like weaning yourself off that coach support. Another thing to do is really work on your forward edges, both outside edges and inside edges, because this is going to help you get deeper and more confident on those edges, so that hopefully once you're crossing, you can maintain good control and you're not as questioning where your body should be crossovers are transferring from one edge to another, outside to inside, outside to inside. So if you work on those edges, that can really help. Another thing is you might want to work on something called an undercut spiral. So I have 2 different versions of a forward crossover tutorial here on my channel, and I will link those down below. A very, very basic one and a little bit more of an advanced one. And the more advanced version of a forward crossover, I have a overview of something called an undercut spiral. And if you can work on that undercut spiral position, it'll help. Another thing you can do is work on gliding with your feet crossed. So just going forward in a straight line with your feet crossed. You want to try that both directions because that crossed leg position can also be very scary. People also mentioned padding, helmets, elbow pads, knee pads, hip pads, all that kind of thing. That's great as long as it does not inhibit your mobility. Wearing some kind of a padding or especially a helmet can really help you get over that fear factor. But the biggest thing is just getting out there and practicing and repetition and working on confidence just in general out on the ice. But good luck. I wish you well. Okay, now I have 2 questions about hypermobility, so I'm going to talk about both of them. First is from Wellstrong Berlin 5723. It says, thank you for answering the spin question at the end. I have hypermobility and always have been unsure what should be straight when spinning. I recently learned the free leg should not be totally straight when coming around, but I'm still confused about how straight anything should be and still can't do a scratch spin. For some reason, an upright spin with my foot to the inside, the standing leg knee is fine though. And then I think there's one more. This is just me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About overextending the knees, or anything for that matter. How do you make sure that this doesn't happen? I have hyperextended knees and sometimes don't know if they are fully straight or not. And if it's too much, it gets unstable and dangerous. Also for movements such as the Inabauer or spread eagle where the legs, or at least one leg, is straight. How do you teach that to someone safely? Okay, this is an interesting question for me to answer because I don't have hypermobility, so I know when my legs are straight and when they're bent. I know that feeling. But for someone with hypermobility, the best thing you can do is learn visually when something is straight. So if you have a full-length mirror anywhere, a full-length mirror in your bedroom or maybe at the gym, or even some rinks have them, practice all of your positions and look at your knees. And you want to try to learn in your muscles what it feels like when you can see that they're straight but not hyperextended. So you can stand in a 1-foot spin position and try to memorize the feeling of a straight knee, or what looks straight for a normal non-hyperextended knee. You can do the same thing with Inabauers. You can practice your Inabauer positions, your spiral positions, anything. I really encourage you to do a lot of mirror work because it will help you with your proprioception. Knowing what looks straight and what that feels like at the same time is going to help your muscles and your body understand what that's going to feel like, so that you can replicate that when you're out on the ice and not able to see what your knees are doing. All right, this question is from Amy Kathleen 2. She says, hi Coach Julia, my question comes from my experience as an adult skater in group class. Obviously in group classes, I'm not the only student. We don't get to pick the coach, and the coach will also change over time. So I was wondering what advice you have for skaters in group lessons to maximize our learning and our class time given those limitations where we're not the only student, so there's less one-on-one time. We do not get to pick the coach, so the individual teaching style might not be a perfect fit for our learning style. We have different coaches at different times, so we may jump around in the skills we're working on, or they may teach different techniques. I'm writing this based on my experience in group classes, but I also think it'd be relevant to people who are learning from your videos or other online content, because you can't give feedback on our skating, and different YouTube coaches suggest different techniques too. Thanks. This was a great video, by the way. I didn't realize I was even wondering some of these things, but I was. Okay, so this is great. Yes, so many skaters are learning either through group classes or online, like through my videos or other coaches' videos. And the techniques too do differ. You don't get that one-on-one feedback that you do get with private lessons. I did take a couple of group classes when I was just starting, when I was very early on, switched to private lessons as early as I was able, because that's where you're going to get the most fine-tuned learning. But when you're in a group situation, think of it as organized practice time, all right? Sometimes a coach will only spend a minute or 2 or 3 with you, like depending on how long the class is and how many people. The more people and the shorter the class, the less one time you're going to have. So you want to really, really focus while they're talking. Anytime they're talking, you should be 100% focused on absorbing everything they're saying. You can also eavesdrop when they're talking to other people around you to see if what the tips they're giving them would apply to what you're doing. You also want to not stop practicing the skill. So one of the things that I used to get annoyed with when I was teaching group classes is that I would give kids instruction on what to work on. They'd do it a couple times and then they'd stop and they'd wait for me to give them something else. I'm like, no, you keep doing it over and over and over until I tell you to change it, till I give you a different thing to work on. So do not stop working on that skill, even when the coach's back is turned. Also, you can record yourself and see if you can compare what your body is doing to what your coach is doing. So if you can look at what they're doing, right? Listen to what they're saying, look at what they're doing, and then record yourself maybe at practice time and see if your body looks the same. Like, what is different? Are my knees not as straight? Are my arms different from what they're doing? So you can kind of double check yourself that way. Another thing is, when you get one-on-one time, yes, you want to show them what you're doing, but you also want to think of any challenges that you're having that you can ask them about. I feel like my body's dropping right here. What can I do to change that specific thing? That way, they're not just going to come by and say, yeah, it looks like you're making progress. You can say, okay, yes, but this is something I'm struggling on. What do I do for that topic? Okay, our next question is from VBFF1DR. I noticed you say you're a counterclockwise spinner and hear that the standard is clockwise. How can someone who doesn't have a coach tell they're on their own? I train both directions myself just to keep things balanced, but how do you decide you're one or the other? Okay, great question. So the standard is going to be counterclockwise, just because there are more right-handed people in the world, and right-handed people want to go counterclockwise in general. Left-handed people generally want to go clockwise. So the standard you're going to see is going to be counterclockwise. If you're right-handed, you just try doing things rotating counterclockwise. And this isn't going to apply to any kinds of turns or footwork elements. Any crossovers, stops, mohawks, 3 turns, twizzles, counters, rockers, brackets, loops, all of those things should be done both directions. This is just going to be for your jumps and your spins, those rotational movements, okay? Everything else you want to learn both ways. Your spirals you want to learn both ways. Generally speaking, when you're jumping, a right-handed person wants their stronger, more dominant arm to go forward and their dominant side to go forward. That is their right side. That means that they're going to rotate counterclockwise. And the same, people who are left-handed generally, not every time, but generally prefer their left side, their stronger side, to move forward, which means they're going to be a clockwise rotation skater. So just try that. If you're left-handed, try going forward with your left side. Try going clockwise. That is standard. So if you're practicing by your own, just go based on whether you're right-handed or left-handed. Okay, our next question is Cranma0125. They say, great video. I just bought my first pair of figure skates at almost 22 years old. Been wanting to skate for the past 5-ish years. Congratulations. I was wondering, if loose pants around the ankles can create issues, won't the leg warmers act the same? They're also curling up at your ankles from what I see on the video. So this was about things to wear at the rink, what you should wear while you're skating. And yeah, I don't recommend wearing pants that are loose at the bottom because you can catch your toe picks into them. I speak from personal experience. I was wearing a fantastic pair of sort of wide leg leggings years ago, and I was warming up at a competition warm-up. It wasn't the 5-minute warm-up, it was a freestyle beforehand, and I caught one foot into my pants and slid and slammed into the wall, and I was so embarrassed. Like, everybody actually stopped and watched me slide into the wall. So yes, loose leg pants when you're skating are not a great idea. Leg warmers, you can also catch your toe picks on, but they are generally a lot closer to your foot than a wide, loose pair of pants. So leg warmers, you just want to make sure you get a pair that's not going to be slouching down over your blades or really loose. You just want them to be as close to your foot as possible so you're not going to have your skates catching into them. This is my last question for today. This is from Cherry MQ9NB. It says, I'm a teenager and I want to learn to figure skate, but is teenager too late? I cannot say this enough. Teenagers are not too late. It is never too late to start skating. Whenever you decide you want to skate is the perfect time. Now, what you're going to be able to achieve in this sport is going to change over time, simply because those who started when they're very, very young, it's in their bones, it's in their muscles, it's in their psyche in a different way, and also they have a bit of a head start. So if you're starting at 4 years old and you don't stop, then by the time you're a teenager, you're going to have these amazing skating skills, and that might seem to someone who's a teen and wanting to start like they don't have a chance. But there are so many amazing things you can still do with skating, whether you're starting in your teens or your 30s or your 50s. So don't ever let age be a limitation to deciding to skate, especially as a teen. I started ice skating at 13, all right? I was roller skating and ballroom dancing and doing ballet and things like that when I was younger. I started roller when I was 5, but I didn't switch to the ice till I was 13, almost 14. Okay, so don't let your teen years be a discouraging factor in deciding to skate. All right, skaters, that is all my questions for today. If you have questions you would like me to answer either here on the couch or at the rink, you just leave those in the comments down below and I will get back to them as quickly as I can. I am always so excited to see the questions you have, the feedback you have. So make sure you leave those comments down below and I will read them. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us that thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos when I put them out there. Happy October, happy skating, and I'll see you soon.